Somebody yesterday asked me if I was going to do a video on a blue heeler nipping at ankles. I assume that that's what they meant, because that's a behavior that the blue heeler will do, is that they'll nip at ankles. And every time I've seen a dog that does this, and he tried this like the first day, but it didn't go too good for him because I use a leash, okay? So I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this. You know, it's somebody that has a 3-month-old blue heeler and it's nipping. I assume that that's what she's talking about, nipping at the ankles. And they'll do that. They'll try and headbutt and stuff like that. That's what they do to the animals that they're hurting. So why don't you try putting a leash on your puppy? And I see this all the time. You know, Cesar Millan promotes not using leashes. You watch that stupid show and he doesn't have a leash on the dog in a house. You put a leash on the puppy, don't just let it run around the house. He stopped this real quick. He said, I'm not allowing him to do it because I have control. I have an element of control. I have the leash on him. And the more your dog does that, head bumps your ankles or bites at your ankles or your friend's ankles or whatever, the more it becomes their general behavior. How many times, I've had friends that have had cattle dogs. You go over to their house and their dog's doing this, and then the guy's just saying, oh, he's a herding dog. Yeah, I know that, idiot. Why don't you put a leash on your dog and tell it not to bother your friends that come over? It's ridiculous. Put a leash on your dog and start indicating something to the dog, keeping it at heel. Don't let it. Put it on a short leash. Don't let it bite at your ankles or anybody else's ankles. Gain control. So many people get dogs that they like them for all the wrong reasons. Like this owner has experience, like his family has had cattle dog before, but so many people will be like, oh, that's a cool looking dog, I want one. You know, the Chesapeake Bay, the Shiba. The Shiba is a perfect example of a dog that idiots want. Oh, it looks like a fox, I want one. And then they can't train it because it's similar to a dog like this, or the Chesapeake Bay. And then the Shiba starts biting and shit. It's absurd. It's absurd. You're getting a dog because of the way that it looks. I have a video on Shibas that idiots come to and say stuff like, oh, that dog has an e-collar on, you're mean. Or you're talking mean to that dog. Yeah, that's right. You have to have a different tone than just everything's fucking great. You know, you don't always just tell the dog it's doing great. If it's not doing the right thing, you have to indicate something to the dog. You have to be negative to the dog. You have to say no to the dog. These Shibas, they never get trained. You know, it's ridiculous. There's only like purely positive method involved. Let's give the dog food. And then Shibas have a huge bite rate. A lot of these dogs that are like difficult, like the cattle dog is sort of a difficult dog. It's a dog lover's dog, I'll tell you. You got to really like dogs to want a Chesapeake Bay, a Malinois, you know, a lot of these breeds, Shibas, Akitas. You have to really be into dogs to want to deal with a working dog. This is a working dog. He's persistent. They're very persistent. And they might be persistent, like, I don't want to do that, I want to do it my way. But that persistence, once the dog is trained, ends up being like persistence as a working dog. But it takes training to get the dog to do that. The Shiba, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. And then once you train them, it's like the cattle dog. Once you get them to start doing it, you're home free. But it takes conditioning. It takes repetition. So don't let your dog, don't let your blue heeler nip at your ankles or your friend's ankles. Use a leash. Use a fucking leash. I can take him at this point, I can have him on the e-collar and not even stimulate him or anything, but take him from the kennel to outside. Okay? Go to the bathroom, Hanu, but as soon as he's done, I put him back on a leash. I would never allow a puppy to be roaming around the house off of a leash, okay? And a known breed that isn't necessarily easy to train, yes, Yeah, that's all dogs. It's all like a spectrum of dog behavior. It doesn't matter what breed it is. It's a puppy. Put a leash on it. Now, Hanu, in particular, this is about a 6-month-old dog, something like that. And he's going through this phase. There's this phase that's known as the teenage months, and he's going through it right now. And that lasts 10 months, 11 months, somewhere around that. So it depends on the dog and the breed of dog, but they all fall in this area where the dog tries to like be more independent, do whatever they fucking want, not listen to you. A leash, okay? And if I was going to transition him to being off leash, he would drag the leash, and if I was working with him in a field, he might have a check cord on, which is a long leash. Now he could go through the weave pulls off of a leash, but I put the leash back on him. He's young, he's 6 months old, he's going through the teenage months, like I said. You got a dog in that time frame, it might be 5 months it might start. Do you understand? Somewhere in there, to a year, you're gonna heavily use the leash until the dog is consistent and compliant. Now let's talk about Hanu in particular and what we're doing with Hanu. We're going back to the city. Now we're going back to the city for a couple reasons. One of them is because of Hanu, because Hanu has a tendency to get distracted if he sees somebody off in a distance. Where is there a lot of distraction that we can work Hanu? Brooklyn. He needs to function around the distraction. Also, the other thing that we're doing with Hanu right now is he started picking this up. We have him picking this up, but he is not compliant all the time. So I'm doing what's called a walking retrieve, where I walk with him, get him in different areas, set the object on the ground, have him pick it up, walk 5 feet, take it out of his mouth, and do it again. And Hanu, hold. No, hold. Good. Heel. Hanu, hold. No, hold. Good. Just keep taking him into a different area. Sit. Do you understand? And I'm going to do this in Brooklyn. So say we go around the block, and every 10 feet, I'm setting this down, and he's picking it up. So he will become more consistent, and with repetition, this will become his general behavior. No, sit. I didn't tell him to go in the down position. Do you understand? So that's what it's about. It's about him working around distractions and him just doing this more. Now, is he on target for going home? Yeah, sure. He's in that realm. I told the owner when I saw the dog, I said, it's going to take at least 45 days. You know, on the 12th, it'll be 30 days, but there were travel times, so add on 4, so about the 15th or 16th, that'll be 30 days of training. So we're looking at the end of October for him going back. He will be doing retrieves, and the one thing that he has to do to go back is he has to be able to pick up other objects. I don't have any with me, but he has to be able to pick up glasses and keys. He's doing fine. You have to take into consideration each individual dog. That's what you get if you have Peter Caine train your dog. One, I'm only going to work with 1 or 2 dogs at a time. And I sort of like think about the dog just individually and what does the individual dog need to get it to that point. So right now we're staying on the walking retrieve. It's just walking, setting it down, having him pick it up, walk a few feet, take it out of his mouth, and do it again over and over again. Hanu, hold. No, hold. Good. Here. Hanu, hold. No, hold. Whoa. Heel. It's just consistency. Why we're doing that, we'll also be working on him being out in front of me and spinning into heel. And when we get back to Brooklyn, we're going to start using a target again, a small target, so that he's spinning into heel proper. So when he's doing the retrieve, the walking retrieve real good, we can switch right into a regular retrieve, pick it up, and spin into heel and make it look real pretty. I want to say something else why I'm annoyed with people about blue heelers, you know, cattle dogs, people writing just ridiculous stuff under my videos. I've had several people say something like, that dog's 5 months old, it should be in a pen with you know, cattle. It should be working with young cows. Are you out of your fucking, you're a fucking idiot if you think that. You think that this dog should only do that and this dog can't live in the city? This dog can live in the city. It's a fucking dog. They go wherever a human goes. It's a subspecies of the wolf. There are interesting things about this dog, that they're real persistent. They're dominant. I think they have the dingo bred into them, if I'm not mistaken. But it's a dog. It's just a dog. A dingo's just a feral dogs that went wild. That's all it is. They're just real good at killing and surviving in the wild. This dog is not that unusual. Any of the breeds, they're not that unusual. They can live around humans in country settings like this, or they can live in a city. To hear somebody say something like that just leads me to believe you know nothing about dogs. The important thing with a dog is that you work it its entire life. I don't give a shit if it's a Chihuahua. Give it a motherfucking job. Give it something to do. But to have this attitude, oh, you know, that dog should be herding cows or what? Bullshit. Bullshit. And like that instinct that we were talking about in the beginning of this video, that they nip at the ankles, yeah, they would be doing that to a cow. That doesn't mean that they need to be doing that, period. Okay? They don't need to be doing that to a human, and he certainly shouldn't be doing that to other dogs. And this breed should be watched around other dogs, because they will try and herd other dogs. They'll get in a fight. Okay? So this notion that, like, it's like saying, oh, the Labrador is used as a water retriever. That dog should be in a lake. That dog should be retrieving in a lake. You're an idiot. They're great to do other things too. Dogs can learn other tasks. That's what it's about. The dog just learning to work and do something. That's it. It doesn't matter if Hanu is herding cattle or sheep or picking up objects for his owner, or his owner was talking about training him to do frisbee. As long as you as the dog owner can work with the dog and have the dog doing something appropriately and be sending the correct message to the dog, you're an idiot to think that. It's the second time I've seen that underneath this. It's like somebody writes something on the internet or something about a breed, and then some idiot reads it, and then they take it to heart. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Take it from somebody that's had a herding dog. I had a Belgian. The dog didn't need to nip at my heels. It didn't need to nip at my friend's heels. Tatiana was great. She learned to do other things. There was no reason for her to be doing that. And she lived in the city. She lived in the city. This notion that some of these breeds, you know, listen, would it be easier with Tonka to live in the country? Yeah. But can Tonka live in the city? Yeah, absolutely. This dog is more mellow than Tonka. I'll tell you that. This dog at 6 months old will chill out. You go out and work him, he'll go in his crate and he'll chill out and decompress. Tonka never decompresses and always wants to work. So this dog will be fine in the city. It will. It's you know, it's relatively mellow as long as the separation anxiety is under control, and it is. That's sort of just totally stopped. I haven't even had the bark collar on him. I've just put the e-collar on daily. So his separation anxiety is totally, you know, it's not there anymore. So I hope this makes sense, what we're doing with Hanu. I could add this into the video, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We're having him pick up the object, essentially. That's all it is. We're just having him pick it up. We walk a little bit further. release it to my hand, we walk, put it back down on the ground. It's called a walking retrieve. If I get a refusal, we don't leave from that area until he picks it up. Hanu, hold. No, hold. Hold. Whoa. Here. And that's where the positive reinforcement comes in. When he picks it up, he gets good boy, and we get to go forward. We do not move forward, and this is how it's going to be in the city, until he picks it up. And I'm sending that message to Hanu that I'm not going to move, and we do not leave until he picks it up. I am not using heavy pressure with him to pick this up because I want him to like this activity. Some dogs, like Cocker Spaniels, you can use some pressure to get them to pick it up. This dog, a Chesapeake Bay, something like that, you use heavy pressure with the dog and they're going to be more resistant. That's the last thing that we want. Okay? So if you have a blue heeler and it's nipping at your ankles, don't let it. Use a leash inside the house and outside the house. It's like pulling teeth. This is something everybody should know that's getting a puppy. You put a leash on the puppy in the house. Okay? From day one. Get the dog used to having a leash on. Doesn't matter what breed the dog is. I'm sick of hearing this shit. All dogs are the fucking same. They're a subspecies of the fucking wolf. Do you understand? This dog is not much different than my Labrador or my Chihuahua. This dog you could breed this dog with a small wolf. It's a fucking wolf. That's what it is. It's got dingo in it. Grow up and be realistic. Seriously, I want everybody to be more realistic. If you're thinking about getting a dog, think about it twice if you have children. Think about it if it's a known breed that's sort of difficult to deal with, a Shiba. You know, you don't get a Malinois and think that it's going to go easy and that you're not going to have to do heavy training with it. It's absurd. It's absurd. Here's the example. This dog doesn't need to be a cattle dog, okay? It doesn't need to be a herding dog any more than the Malinois needs to do protection. What they both need to do is to be trained to do something, and they need to both work. It doesn't matter what the breed is, okay? What matters is you think about the dog as an individual and you train the dog to do something and work the dog daily. That's it. Hanu, hold. No, hold. Good. Heel.